It's a tank the Germans made after the Second World War. When they're allowed to make tanks again, they said, no, we're not going to build a whopping great heavy tank like the Tiger, we're going to build a fast tank. Because they believe the quicker you were on the battlefield, the better, the less chance you've got of being hit. So they built this tank called the Leopard, that you can see is a really powerful, fast vehicle. The Leopard tank, but they also sold it all around the world, obviously to the Ruritanians as well. But great gun on it, 105mm, so 10.5 centimetres, British gun. It was the one we put on our Centurion tanks. Really successful, a massively powerful diesel engine, empty diesel engine in the back to whip this around quickly. Not much armour protection, and you can see over time they've added some more armour around the outside. Now, look like they finally found the target. What do you think of that? Just remember, he's a bad guy. Anyone cheers him in the audience, they're straight out, okay?
Hooray!
Right, he's a bad guy. Now, they found the man, that's the important thing. The other thing about tanks, they always have the thickest armour on the front. So you always try and point your tank to where you're going to be attacked from, so you've got the best protection. So wherever he ends up pointing, that means we'll know that's where he thinks he's going to be attacked from. I don't think he's too bright, this Ruritanian soldier. He's having a little bit of a trouble with the flag there, but it does look like they've captured the mound at last. And they're pointing down the other end of the field, so that's a good indication, we think. That's where they think they'll next be attacked from. Now, let's see if you were paying a little bit of attention earlier on. Let's just imagine the British Army's got to come back onto this battlefield and capture this position back off the Ruritanians. Now, what would be the first thing that armoured force commander is going to want to do in a situation like this? Was someone paying attention a bit earlier on? Yell it out. Make a cup of tea? No, we're talking about the army, not the RAF. Come on, what would the army do? Right, someone was paying attention. They'd send out their reconnaissance vehicle, wouldn't they? They need to find out, first of all, where the enemy are and what they're up to. And all those bits of information they can send back, like what's the best way forward? Are the bridges going to take the weight of a big 60-ton tank? You don't want to drive over something and collapse it before you've even got to the enemy. The other great thing, of course, that they can do is they're radioing all this information back. They can do other things, like they can call in artillery fire onto the Ruritanian position, keep them busy, keep their heads down, keep them occupied whilst you're finding all the information out. Don't let them settle. This Ruritanian commander looks like he can't even have a proper shave, can he? So all that information you can find out and radio back before the main force puts in its attack. So he's cooking down that artillery fire, keeping them occupied, keeping them busy. He's firing off his smoke grenade discharge. By the way, if he ever got this close in real combat, something's gone wrong somewhere, he's normally about a mile down the road in the woods. But it does happen. You do literally bump into the enemy sometimes. And of course, again, great thing about the Ferret, by the way, it's actually got 5 reverse gears as well as 5 forward gears. So he can always back off just as quick backwards as he can forwards. That's a really useful feature for a reconnaissance vehicle. But don't forget, the key thing about that vehicle, not for the fighting, for getting the information back. And once he's done that, the main force knows how and where and why the attack can go in. And here they come. So here's our Chieftain tank. British Army, as we know, is a bit busy around the world at the moment, so they've called on the tank museum to take on the Ruritanians. There's our Chieftain tank, followed by our 432, the armoured personnel carrier. And the 432's got our volunteers in, and as we've said before so many times, however many tanks you've got, you still need infantry to actually finish off the attack on foot. Infantry are going to hold the ground. They're the ones that are actually going to do that final bit of an attack. Now, Ruritanians, they're firing off down range there. 432, it's pointing to where the enemy are. Again, that's so the guys in the back know where they're aiming for. Chieftain's working its way up the flank. Oh, looks like we've got a hit on the Ruritanian Leopard there. And if we look down the field, there's our 432 pointing at where the direction the infantry got to attack. Because don't forget, they could have been bouncing around in that vehicle for the last hour or two. And here they are, here comes our volunteers out the back of the vehicle, and they're putting in what the infantry would call a section attack or a pepper pot attack. One section runs forward at a time, drops down, and then the other section runs forward. And they try and keep in a nice straight line as they're doing that. And that's not just because the army thinks straight lines look nice and neat and sensible. It's because it's got a very practical reason of stopping you shooting your mates out the backside. The media calls that friendly fire. It's the most unfriendly fire going if you get hit by your own side. And they're bloodthirsty lot, they're charging the Ruritanians. Oh, look at that! Pathetic. Ruritanians are thrown in the town already. Well done, our volunteers. Well done. Now, it actually takes the British Army about 6 weeks to do phase 2 infantry training, so they've picked that up in about half an hour, so they've actually done very well. So when they get on top of the mound, give them a good round of applause, and then we can see the Union Jack going back up the mast, so we can all sleep safely in our beds tonight. Well done, the volunteers there. Of course, what we didn't tell them when they volunteered is now we're going to give them all sensible haircuts, and they're going to spend the rest of the day cleaning our vehicles for us. But actually, they've done very well up there. What we're going to do for you now, ladies and gentlemen, is we will clear the field of the vehicles. Ruritanians will be taken into custody, so don't worry about them. Clear the vehicles off the field, and in about 10 minutes' time, the rides vehicle will be starting again.